Donald Trump reckons that Prince Harry might not last long in the United States if he's re-elected. We know that a Washington think tank is suing the US to release the details of Harry's visa application following drug use revelations in the book Spare. Donald Trump says that Harry deserves no special treatment if it's proven that he lied on his application. Let's take a listen.
If he's lied on his visa form, doesn't the truth need to come out?
We'll have to.
Should he get special privileges that nobody else does?
No, and we'll have to see if they know something about the drugs, and if he lied, you'll have to take appropriate action.
Appropriate action?
Yeah.
Which might mean not staying in
America.
America.
I don't know. You'll have to tell me. You just have to tell me.
So, Adam, is Prince Harry getting kicked out?
Well, look, I guess it's possible. I mean, I'm not super familiar with US law on this particular subject, so I don't know what the president himself can do, but I'm sure that he could cause problems. I would be surprised if Harry was kicked out of the US. And of course, Donald Trump loves celebrity and celebrities. And so, I mean, Prince Harry has become a celebrity in part because of his wife. And it would shock me if the Trump administration tried to kick him out. But look, I mean, who knows? I mean, Trump is an unpredictable beast, so it's certainly possible.
We'll wait and see. I know there are quite a few people that are interested to see exactly what he put down on that form, that visa application, but we'll see. Elsewhere in the interview, Trump defended using the word bloodbath. Now, the GOP presidential candidate faced backlash over the weekend for suggesting there would be a bloodbath in the country under a second Joe Biden term, made during a speech in Ohio about the auto industry. Now, while liberal media outlets interpreted this as a threat of violence if he were to lose in November, Trump clarified that his comments were solely about automobiles. Adam, I'm sure you're familiar with that part of the interview. Is this a sign that the US media is really choosing their preferred candidate here?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think the way that they reacted to his speech where he used the word bloodbath was completely ridiculous by and large. It was very obvious from the speech, if you listen to the whole paragraph, so to speak, that he was talking about the car industry. So, of course, there was wall-to-wall, stories in the US media saying that he wanted to have a bloodbath, kind of blood on the streets, so to speak, if he was re-elected later this year. That is total nonsense. But I think the reason he uses words like this is because he full well knows that it helps him politically. I mean, he does this all the time. A few months ago, it was vermin, and the media did the same thing. They likened him to Adolf Hitler, which of course was completely ridiculous. And Trump knows that, his supporters know that, and frankly, I think independents know that too, and that's why he does it. So the mainstream media loses its credibility, and of course, when they lose their credibility, it means the more justified stories that they might want to run then lose their force. So look, it was another hysterical example of the media overreacting to things that Trump says. I mean, the Trump derangement syndrome is a thing, I assure you.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. And then I know that it's been the long clip of what Donald Trump said has been shared several times on platforms such as X. So you're right. I think some media outlets really do lose their credibility for things like this. Now, Donald Trump stated that if he was still president, the world wouldn't be in chaos because Putin responds to me. Can Donald Trump negotiate with Putin, or is he really losing, I suppose, some support over these big claims?
Look, I'm very sceptical that he can end that war very quickly. It's ultimately up to Vladimir Putin to end that war, and also Zelensky in Ukraine. They're the two men that are largely responsible for this war. I mean, if Trump wanted to bring about the end to the war more quickly, of course, he could end the US support for Ukraine. As you probably know, there's a bill in Congress now for $60 billion to go to Ukraine. The Republican Party is basically split over it, and that's what has held the bill up in Congress. Trump is opposed to the bill, but the reality is that he's going to, that he's going to pick up the phone, and speak to Vladimir Putin and speak to Zelensky and just, click his fingers and end the war, I think is completely farcical. But of course, I guess we can wait and see.
Former First Lady Melania Trump has been seen publicly with her husband on Tuesday. The pair voted in Florida's Republican ballot together, with the former president joking that he was voting for himself, of course. Now, during the brief appearance, the former First Lady was asked if she would return to her husband's presidential campaign trail. And Melania responded saying, stay tuned. So Adam, I suppose what can we make of that? We can expect to see her on the campaign trail or see more of her over the next 7 months.
Yes, I suppose so. I mean, it really has been striking how little we've seen of her kind of in the past 6 months. I mean, Trump's been running for president now for well over 12 months. And, I don't think, at least I can't think of a single case where she has been by his side. I mean, maybe right at the start, at the launch perhaps, but since then, certainly not. And, I mean, he's performed very well. I mean, he's come from, being third to being the overwhelming favourite. And I mean, he's actually the favourite in the polls to become the next president, but she still hasn't stood next to him. So, I guess one could infer some friction there between the two of them. But as you say, she said this week rather, that she implied, she didn't actually say she was going to join him. She said, stay tuned. So we don't quite know what that means. But yeah, she's seemingly going to finally start to help out, which I think will be a huge help to him, actually, because she is a very glamorous woman, and she soaks up a lot of the attention that maybe helps him because, there's quite often the attention that Trump gets isn't of the best sort, as we discussed earlier.
Yeah, it's interesting that he's already ahead of the polls and we haven't seen a lot of her around. Do you think she will make a big impact and she will really help his campaign if she does kind of step up?
Yeah, look, I think she will help him. I think she's a net plus. I mean, as I say, she's extremely glamorous woman, former model. Actually, her son just turned 18 this week, Barron Trump. I think he's 7 foot or something. So there's going to be a lot more interest in him now too. Now that he's an adult, so there'll be more pictures of the son and her together. Yes, look, I mean, I think she's a very quiet woman. She rarely gives speeches. I mean, she keeps her opinions to herself. We don't really even know politics, really. But yeah, I think she's a striking benefit for Trump on the campaign trail.
Adam Creighton, thank you so much for making the time to speak with us here on Power Hour. Really appreciate it.
Thanks very much for having me.